the Ministry of Finance, and of course, our media friends, my brothers and sisters from the media community. I acknowledge you and I thank you for your hard work, for the great. But for you, there will not be government, because government is about the governed, and those who are governed. Right. And you constitute a very important link between the two sides of the equation.
And this is why we will continue to cherish and appreciate the work that we as part of measures to enhance transparency and accountability in our economic management. In today's briefing, we'll update you on the implementation of the IMF-supported PCPEC, the progress made towards completing the external debt restructuring program, and the status of implementation of the SME Growth and Opportunity Program, a new initiative the ministry is pursuing. We will also take the opportunity to provide an update on the performance of the economy for the first quarter of this year. In the first edition of this series, which was presented on 26 March 2024, I indicated that as part of measures to pursue an inclusive approach to economic management, we will institute, among others, a joint economic roundtable with the academia to discuss topical economic issues and to bring the expertise of academia to bear on policy making. A Ghana Development Forum to bring various stakeholders together to discuss and build consensus on key interventions such as the IMF program and the debt restructuring program, among others. Then a monthly update on the state of the economy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to inform you that we have made significant progress in these inclusive initiatives. The monthly press briefing on the economy has now come to stay, as this is the third of such updates. We have begun work on the joint economic roundtable with the University of Ghana and have adopted a concept note for the roundtable. We have also drafted an MOU on the subject to be signed by the parties shortly. We have programmed our first roundtable to take place in June 2024. We also have programmed to hold the Ghana Development Forum in July 2024. Others have proposed that we call it the National Economic Summit. We are discussing what name we will use eventually. But what is important is that it will be a platform, a great platform, to bring all stakeholders in the management of our economy. We sit here, but we do not claim monopoly over the ideas, all the ideas that we need to manage our economy. And therefore, we'll provide that platform to build consensus on some of the major policies we are implementing as a government. Ladies and gentlemen, you recall that in my first monthly press update to you on 26 March 2024, I indicated again that one of the priorities of government for the rest of 2024 and beyond is to stay the course on the implementation of the IMF program. I also notified you that Ghana will be hosting an IMF mission from the 2nd to the 12th of April 2024 to undertake the second review of the program, following the approval of the program in May 2023 and the completion of the first review of the program in January 2024, both of which resulted in a total disbursement of $1.2 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, the second review mission by the IMF staff was successfully concluded on 13th April 2024, enabling Ghana to reach a staff-level agreement on the second review with the IMF staff. With the staff-level agreement now secured, it is expected that the executive board of the fund will sit on Ghana's second review for consideration and approval sometime in June to unlock the third tranche of $360 million, which will bring the total disbursements to 1.56 billion United States dollars. The second review mission, which was conducted, would end December 2023 as the test date, was based on key performance indicators, including 6 quantitative performance criteria, 3 indicative targets, and 1 structural benchmark that were due at the end of December 2023, as well as 4 structural benchmarks due at the end of March 2024. The fund assessed Ghana's performance under the second review as very strong, as most of the quantitative performance criteria and the indicative targets adjudged by the fund staff were met. In addition, Ghana satisfied all 5 but 1 structural benchmark due by end December 2023 and end March 2024. The assessment also shows great strides in our social protection interventions to mitigate the cost of adjustment on the poor and the vulnerable. What this means in simple language, ladies and gentlemen, is that at the end of 2023, we achieved the following targets under the program, subject to the approval of the IMF Executive Board in June. Minimum net international reserves, cumulative change of $988.2 million, 0 central bank borrowing, a ceiling cumulative of 4.3 billion Ghana cedis for the primary deficit on commitment basis, 0 accumulation of external debt payments, a non-concessional borrowing limit of $66.2 million in present value terms, and 0 collateralized borrowing by the central government and state-owned enterprises. In addition, at the end of December 2023, Ghana achieved the following indicative targets: a minimum of 114.19 billion Ghana cedis for non-oil public revenue, and a minimum of 4.07 billion Ghana cedis in social spending. Reforms. We've expanded the gift mix infrastructure to include over 280 IGF-reliant institutions. We've published on PURC's website the final report of the first quarterly audit on ECG's single account. The Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance have designed and will soon begin the implementation of a credible, comprehensive, and cost-effective plan that seeks to address NIB's challenges, the National Investment Bank. And we've developed a centralized inventory of all ongoing and planned public investment projects that have been approved by Cabinet. Ladies and gentlemen, the positive results of the first and second review of the implementation of the IMF program testify that we are achieving the program's objective of restoring macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability, building resilience through the implementation of strong and wide-ranging structural reforms, and laying the foundations for stronger and more inclusive growth, whilst protecting the poor and the vulnerable. We are now seeing signs of macro stability and economic recovery. And I am confident to say that the recovery has been strong. It has been strong, and we will pursue all the policies that are necessary to sustain the gains we have made. This is exemplified by the following data I wish to provide. Growth turned out to be more resilient and robust in 2023 than initially programmed, as GDP grew by 2.9% compared to the original projection of 1.5% and the revised projection of 2.3%. We expect growth to continue its upward trajectory to average 5% in the medium term as we implement our growth strategy under the PCPEG, supported by the revival of Ghana's industrialization drive, modernization of agriculture, with a focus on value addition to create economic and employment opportunities, as well as SME growth and financing. Inflation is declining. Headline inflation declined by 31 percentage points from 54.1% at the end of 2022 to 23.2% at the end of December 2023. This was before inflation inched up slightly to 25.8% in March 2024, due largely to base effect, but we have seen it trending downward again. The downward trend is expected to continue over the medium-term horizon, with inflation returning to the target band of 8 plus or minus 2% by 2025. This will be largely achieved because of the fiscal consolidation efforts of government, tight monetary policy, exchange rate stability, as well as improved food production, local food production. Gross international reserves is also improving and now stands at $6.2 billion, covering 2.7 months of import cover at the end of February 2024, compared to $5.9 billion in the corresponding period of 2022. Gross international reserve is expected to improve to cover at least 4.4 months of import cover in the medium term, to be supported by external inflows from the IMF, the World Bank, and other development partners. The government's Gold for Oil program, the BOG's Gold for Reserve program, as well as the cocoa syndicated funds. But for recent pressures we are seeing on the exchange rate movement, ladies and gentlemen, the exchange rate has been largely stabilized over some time, with the depreciation of the cedi against the US dollar halving from 54.2% at the end of November 2022 to 27.8% at the end of December 2023. The cedi stability has continued into 2024 with a cumulative depreciation of 14.2% as of May 20th, 2024, compared to 20.7% recorded in the same period in 2023. And therefore, people may see the cedi depreciating fast recently. If you compare the depreciation year to date, from January to date, the cedi has depreciated by about 14.2%. Same time last year, it depreciated by 20.7%. So on that, comparative basis, we are safe to conclude that the cedi is still strong, very strong. We expect the stability to improve into the medium term as we complete debt restructuring, as we make progress on fiscal consolidation, and as we improve on our reserves over the medium term. The recent pressures on the cedi that I have referred to are largely as a result of the strengthening of the US dollar against major trading currencies across the world, including ours. And therefore, we expect that as the US currency also moderates in its strength, the effect will be felt on our currency. Another reason is the seasonal forex demand, including elevated demand from corporate institutions. Then also, we have paid contractors. I want to say that the complaints of no money and no money and no money, we don't hear that anymore, because we have paid and paid contractors. As of now, year to date, I think we've spent some 49 billion Ghana cedis. Same time last year, we did 41 billion Ghana cedis. And so this demonstrates that a lot of liquidity, cedi liquidity, is in the market. And we have seen some people looking for US dollars to buy with the cedis that we have put out there. And so these are some of the reasons, including the payments to IPPs, independent power producers. You will recall that we started negotiating with them, as a result of which we had to make a bullet payment, one-off payment, amounting to some 400 million United States dollars. And so they all put pressure on the cedi. But also, what is known to all of us